Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This week I'm actually going to show you how I took this table and these benches and gave them a new, modern, industrial look. I bought these pieces at a local garage sale in my mom's neighborhood. I was on my way to celebrate my grandfather's 91st birthday when I saw a garage sale along the way. First off, how lucky am I to celebrate my grandfather's 91st birthday? And secondly, garage sales are so rare now that whenever I see one, I have to take advantage. The first thing that caught my attention were these benches. They were made out of solid wood. They had some areas where the stain had dripped and had these accent chain pieces to them. They were also very wobbly and needed some reinforcement for stability. But other than that, they really didn't have any major issues. The other thing that caught my attention was this table. At first glance, it looked brand new. But when I took a closer look, I realized it had some dark areas that made me think maybe some oil had spilled. And then it also had some cup rings, the ones we get when we don't use coasters. Really and truly, at the end of the day, they just needed some TLC. So I decided to take them. I wanted to give these an industrial look. Thus, I had to start removing these chains on the benches. They didn't really go with the style I was looking for. Then I cleaned them very well with some soap and water. Once everything was nice and clean, it was time to start sanding. I started off by sanding the table with a 120 grit sandpaper. Now for the benches, I used an 80 grit sandpaper. I went with a lower grit because they had a very dark stain on them, and I was trying to get the tops down to their natural wood. After about 5 hours of sanding and a broken back from leaning forward, we had a fully covered, dusted Angie. On the positive note, all three pieces were ready for the next step. However, because of all the dust in the environment, I needed to make sure that this was super clean before moving any further. So remember, my vision here was to transform these into an industrial look. I thought of buying new black metal legs for the benches, but this can become costly so quickly. Instead, I decided to give them the illusion of metal legs by painting the existing ones in a black color. I started off by applying some blue tape around the bench tops. This was to protect them from accidentally getting painted. Then I applied a layer of all-purpose primer. Whenever I paint something in a dark color, I always prep the primer by adding some black paint into this. This will make it a little bit easier to paint because I'll have to apply less layers of paint to get that vibrant black color I'm looking for. Once the primer was dried, I lightly sanded the benches with a 220 grit sandpaper. This was to get rid of any bumps or imperfections. Then I cleaned them really well to remove any dust residue. Finally, I gave them 2 layers of BEHR Dynasty black paint in an eggshell finish. wasn't sure what stain color to use. My mom told me that she had a mahogany and an early American stain in her garage that thought maybe I could use. So I went ahead and I tested these out in a small piece of plywood that I had. Then I placed them against the black legs and ended up deciding to use the early American stain. This was a little bit lighter, and I really liked the contrast with the black color. With the color picked and the legs painted, I started to stain everything. By the way, remember how I thought there was an oil stain on the tabletop? It looks like this was actually very superficial because all I did was sand it and the stain was gone. So back to staining. After leaving these overnight to dry, I lightly sanded them with a 400 grit sandpaper before sealing them. I did make sure to clean all the dust off before I moved forward to sealing the pieces. On a super side note, from 1 to 10, how Halloween-y do I look with this orange shirt and black legging combo? I mean, it is October and Halloween's around the corner. I promise this was not on purpose. I wonder if my subconscious is just ready for Halloween. Anyways, back to the table and benches. To seal them, I used Varathane triple thick polyurethane in a matte finish. I applied 3 layers of polyurethane to the tabletop and the bench top, lightly sanding them with a 400 grit sandpaper and cleaning them in between each layer. Now for the bench legs, I used Varathane polyurethane, triple thick in a matte finish. However, I added some black paint into the polyurethane. This will avoid any cloudiness that could potentially happen. While I waited for this to dry, I took a trip to Home Depot. Remember, the benches were super wobbly and needed to be reinforced. I needed to find a way to fix this. So I went in looking for 2 things. Number 1, furniture levelers. And number 2, an L-shaped bracket. Now, you guys may know that there are like 1,000 things at Home Depot. And if you don't know where things are, you could be there lost for a couple of hours. So here's a quick tip. If you don't know what aisle to look for an item, just simply go to homedepot.com, select the store you're located at, and in the search button, just write in a description of what you're looking for. It doesn't have to be the exact name, just a simple description. So for example, L-shaped brackets for furniture. As you can see, there are a few items that pop up. You click on the one that you're looking for, and then you'll see if it's in stock, what aisle, and which bay. So here in this example, we're going to aisle 10, bay 3. Here's something similar, but not exactly what I wanted. So I kept searching around and bingo, I found it. I did the exact same process for the furniture levelers, which, by the way, these orange signs on the top are the pays. I'm sorry I didn't specifically show you. But at the end of the day, I was able to find what I was looking for. Now, let's go back to the project. Here's a friendly reminder of what we're trying to fix. It looks like the previous owner had already tried to fix the unevenness of the benches by adding some furniture glides. These are great to protect your floors and make it easy to move the furniture piece around, but they don't adjust heights, so it won't do the trick. So I had to remove these before installing the furniture levelers. To install these, I did follow the instructions in the back carefully. I needed to drill a 1-inch hole with an 11 32 pre-drill bit. I measured the drill bit and added some blue tape to know exactly where to stop. Once all the holes were done, I separated the leveler into two. The clear part, which is called the glide socket, and the metal piece, which is called the thread glide. So I took the glide socket and hammered it into the holes. Then you simply screw on the thread glide and you level it out. Now we still need to reinforce these benches because they were still unstable. I use these L-shaped brackets. They're technically called corner braces. Similar to the furniture levelers, I follow the instructions in the back. I had to carefully place these because there were already some existing screws on the bench. Once I had them in place, I made some marks, I started to pre-drill, and then I just simply screwed in the brackets into place. With all the furniture levelers and the corner braces in place, all that was left was to level this out. Okay, I know this is super picky, but I just couldn't oversee this. The bolts that were holding the benches together were all different colors. Some were still black, some were silver. Anyways, so I decided to spray paint them. I used Rust-Oleum black in a semi-gloss finish. I applied blue tape and plastic everywhere because I had already sealed the pieces, so I didn't want to ruin them. Fingers crossed. Another thing that was bugging me was that the furniture levelers were in a nude color and they were very noticeable against the black legs of the benches. So I decided to give these a quick spray paint to camouflage them a little bit better. I did place some blue tape on the very bottom of them just because I didn't want the future owner to accidentally slide these and stain their floors. I don't know if that would actually happen, but better safe than sorry. We're almost there, I promise. We still needed to deal with the table legs. Similar to the benches, they were very unstable and they weren't the style I was going for. Remember, I wanted to transform these into an industrial look. So I went online and I looked for some metal legs to replace these. I found some simple, clean, budget-friendly legs on Amazon and went ahead and purchased them. To install them, I removed the current legs first. So I did a little research on exactly where to place these legs. The recommendation is 16 inches from the end of the table for stability And it also ensures that there's space for chairs. I made sure to measure this out. Then I centered the legs from the width of the table, and I used a pencil just to mark exactly where I needed to go. Then I marked where the screws needed to be, and I pre-drilled the area. It is so important to add some blue tape to your drill bit so that you don't accidentally over drill a hole through the table. That would be really bad. After everything was pre-drilled, I went ahead and I just screwed in the legs where they needed to go. I promise we were almost done, and we are. Here it is, you guys. We had these mixed matched, wobbly, unstable table and benches, and we transformed them into these beautiful modern industrial set. I wasn't sure if mixing and matching was going to work, but as my mom likes to say, just trust the process. And I did. I love how these came out, and I hope you do too. Let me know what you guys think, if you would have done something different, and if you even like these. As per usual, I'll add a list of supplies I used in the description below. If you like seeing these types of transformations, please make sure to like and subscribe to my channel to see more of these types of flips. For now, I'll say goodbye and see y'all next time here at Angie's Crafts Furniture Renovation.